Dr. Hanju stared at the test results on her screen. She blinked, then checked them again. The human cells had changed in just 3 days. They had adapted to the extreme cold she had exposed them to. This was much faster than she expected. "This can't be right," she said to the empty lab. It was 2:30 in the morning. The Seoul Institute of Genetic Research was quiet. Only the hum of machines kept her company. Dr. Han had stayed late again. Her coworkers often joked that she lived in the lab. Tonight, it felt true. She ran her hand through her short black hair and sighed. If these results were correct, it would change how scientists thought about human adaptation. People could change much faster than anyone believed. What Dr. Han didn't know was that she was being watched. 50,000 miles above Earth, a ship hovered silently. Inside, beings with smooth blue skin and large eyes observed Dr. Han's discovery. "The human female has found it," said Commander Telex. "After all these years of watching, one of them has finally seen what makes them special." "Should we contact them now?" asked his second-in-command. "Not yet. Let us watch for a few more days. Then we will make the approach." The aliens had been studying Earth for centuries. They were members of the Galactic Confederation, a group of over 300 alien species. They had been waiting for humans to discover their own unique trait, the ability to change and adapt quickly. 3 days later, Captain Kang Do-yeon of the Korean Space Force was called to an emergency meeting. "Captain, we have a situation," said General Park. He pointed to a large screen showing a strange object in Earth's orbit. "This appeared 1 hour ago. It's not one of ours, and no other country has claimed it." Captain Kang frowned. The object was huge and shaped like a smooth teardrop. It didn't look like any spacecraft he had ever seen. "What are my orders, sir?" he asked. "Be ready for anything. We've sent messages, but there's been no." The general was cut off as the screen changed. A face appeared, but not a human face. It had blue skin, large black eyes, and no nose. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect Korean, "I am Ambassador Telex of the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace and wish to speak with your leaders." The room fell silent. First contact had just happened. Within hours, Captain Kang found himself on a helicopter to Seoul, where the alien ship had positioned itself. Dr. Han Ju had also been called in, though she didn't understand why. Why would aliens want to talk to a geneticist? She asked Captain Kang, as they were escorted to the meeting point. "I guess we'll find out," he replied. His hand rested on his gun. He hoped he wouldn't need to use it. The alien ship had sent down a smaller craft that now sat in the middle of an empty stadium. A door opened, and 3 blue-skinned aliens walked out. Ambassador Telex was in front. "Dr. Han Ju," Telex said, looking directly at her. "Your recent discovery has not gone unnoticed." Dr. Han's eyes widened. "How do you know about my research?" "We have been watching humanity for a very long time," Telex said. "You possess something unique in the galaxy. Your genetic structure allows for rapid mutation and adaptation. What takes other species millions of years, humans can achieve in just a few generations." Captain Kang stepped forward. "Why is this important to you?" Telex turned his large eyes to the captain. "Because, Captain Kang Do-yeon, this ability makes humans the most valuable species we have ever encountered. Many civilizations in our confederation are dying because they cannot adapt to changing environments. You humans might hold the key to saving them." Dr. Han felt a chill run down her spine. Her simple lab work had just changed humanity's place in the universe. "We have come," Telex continued, "to invite Earth to join the Galactic Confederation, and to ask for your help." 2 weeks after first contact, the world was still in shock. Aliens were real, and they wanted humanity to join them. Dr. Han sat in a large meeting room at the United Nations building in New York. World leaders filled the room, all talking at once. Captain Kang stood by the door, watching everyone carefully. Ambassador Telex and 2 other aliens waited patiently at the front of the room. "Please," said the UN Secretary General, "we must have order." The room quieted down. "Ambassador Telex has a formal invitation to present," she continued. "Let us listen." Telex stood up. His blue skin seemed to glow under the bright lights. "Thank you for your hospitality," he said. "The Galactic Confederation extends an official invitation to Earth. We offer friendship, technology, and protection. In return, we ask to learn from your genetic uniqueness." A murmur spread through the room. "We request that Dr. Han Jiwu lead a team of human scientists aboard our research vessel, the Evolutionary Nexus. There, they will work with our best minds to study human genetics." All eyes turned to Dr. Han. She felt her face grow hot. "Why me?" she asked. "Your discovery was the first step," Telex explained. "You saw what others missed. Your insight will be valuable." The Secretary General spoke up. "How do we know this isn't a trick? You could be planning to experiment on humans." "A fair concern," Telex said. "That is why we suggest Captain Kang and a security team accompany the scientists. You may send whoever you wish to ensure your people's safety." Later that day, Dr. Han found herself in a smaller meeting with Captain Kang and several government officials. "We need you to accept this invitation," said the Korean president. "This is too important to refuse." Dr. Han thought about her small lab and her simple research. Now she was being asked to represent all of humanity. "I'll need to choose my team," she said finally. "Of course," the president replied. "Anyone you want." The next day, Dr. Han called her former student, Dr. Kim Jun. He was a specialist in genetic engineering and the smartest person she knew. "You're joking," Dr. Kim said when she told him about the alien invitation. "I'm serious," she replied. "I need you with me." "When do we leave?" he asked without hesitation. Dr. Han smiled. She could always count on June. She also recruited Lee Minho, a talented linguist who had already begun studying the aliens' language from the few recordings available. "We don't know how many different species we'll meet," she told him. "We'll need someone who can help us communicate." Lee nodded eagerly. "I've already created a basic translation program. It's not perfect, but it's a start." A week later, Dr. Han, Dr. Kim, and Lee met with Captain Kang and his security team of 6 soldiers. "My job is to keep you safe," Captain Kang told them. "Stay close to my team at all times." Dr. Han looked at the captain's serious face. "Do you think we're in danger?" "I think we don't know enough to be sure," he answered honestly. "Some leaders don't trust the aliens. They think we're being used." "What do you think?" she asked. Before he could answer, Ambassador Telex entered the room. "It is time," he announced. "The shuttle is ready to take you to the Evolutionary Nexus." Dr. Han looked at her small team, 3 scientists and 7 soldiers, about to leave Earth. Were they heroes or fools? She didn't know. As they walked toward the waiting shuttle, Captain Kang fell and stepped beside her. "To answer your question," he said quietly, "I think this is the most important journey humans have ever taken, and I'm glad you're leading it." Dr. Han took a deep breath as they approached the alien craft. The door opened, revealing a strange interior with curved walls and soft light. "Welcome," said a new alien voice from inside. "I am Chief Researcher Voss. We have been waiting a very long time to meet you." Dr. Han stepped forward, crossing the threshold into humanity's new future among the stars. The human team stared in wonder as their shuttle approached the Evolutionary Nexus. The research station was massive, shaped like a giant wheel spinning slowly in space. Lights of many colors shone from thousands of windows. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Han. "It is home to over 5,000 scientists from 47 worlds," said Chief Researcher Voss. Unlike Ambassador Telex, Voss had pale green skin and 4 arms. His eyes were small and dark. "How long has it been here?" asked Captain Kang. "The Nexus has orbited an uninhabited star for 300 years, Voss replied. "It is the Confederation's premier research facility." The shuttle docked smoothly with the station, When the doors opened, Dr. Han was hit with strange smells, some sweet, some spicy, none familiar. "Your living quarters have been prepared," Voss said. "Tomorrow, you will meet the other research teams." That night, Dr. Han couldn't sleep. She stood at the window of her room, looking at the unfamiliar stars. Earth was not even visible from here. The next morning, Voss led the humans to a large round room. Scientists of many shapes and sizes were working at stations around the walls. Some floated in liquid tanks. Others moved on many legs. Dr. Han tried not to stare. "These are the beings you will work with," Voss announced. "Most have studied genetics for longer than humans, have known about DNA." Li Minho activated his translator device as aliens approached to greet them. "I am Noor," said a tall being covered in silver fur. "My people have not evolved in 6 million years." "And I am Pel," said another that looked like a large insect. "My species has remained unchanged for nearly 10 million years." Dr. Kim leaned close to Dr. Han. "They're talking about genetic stagnation like it's normal," he whispered. "For most species, it is normal," Voss said, his hearing better than they expected. "Evolution typically stops once a species finds its niche. Only humans continue to change rapidly." Voss led them to a laboratory bigger than any Dr. Han had seen on Earth. One wall displayed a giant image of human DNA next to the DNA of other species. "This is why you are here," Voss said. "Most species have mechanisms that prevent mutations. These mechanisms ensure stability but block adaptation. Humans lack these safeguards." "You're saying our DNA is less protected?" asked Dr. Kim. "Exactly," said Voss. "What other species would call genetic mistakes, humans embrace. You incorporate changes instead of rejecting them. In just 300,000 years, a blink in evolutionary time, you have diversified more than most species do in 10 million years." Dr. Han studied the display. "And this helps you how?" "Many worlds in the Confederation face crisis," Voss explained. "The Maran cannot survive the increasing radiation of their sun. The Pel cannot adapt to a new bacteria on their world. They cannot evolve to meet these challenges. But with help from human genetics, they might," Dr. Kim said, understanding now. Captain Kang, who had been watching silently, spoke up. "So humans are here as what? Templates. Test subjects." Voss turned all 4 arms outward in what seemed to be a gesture of openness. "As teachers and partners. What was once seen as your weakness, genetic instability, may be the galaxy's greatest hope." Later, in their private meeting room, the human team discussed what they had learned. "They need us," Dr. Han said. "After all these years thinking we were alone in the universe, it turns out we have something unique to offer." "I don't fully trust them," Captain Kang said. "There's more they're not telling us." Li, who had been quiet until now, nodded. "I've been listening to conversations my translator picks up. Some scientists here call humans mutation machines, and not always in a nice way." Dr. Kim looked thoughtful. "Well, that's what we are, aren't we? Natural mutation machines. The question is, will we use this ability to help these species, or are we putting ourselves at risk?" Dr. Han looked back at the DNA display visible through the doorway. "Tomorrow we start the real work. Then we'll learn if we're partners or just specimens." 3 months passed on the evolutionary nexus. Dr. Han and her team worked long hours in the lab, studying the difference between human DNA and alien DNA. Dr. Kim spent most of his time looking at human genes through special machines. One day, he called Dr. Han to his workstation. "I found something," he said, his eyes bright with excitement. "Look at this." On his screen was an image of human DNA next to Maran DNA. The Maran were a species whose planet was facing high radiation levels. "Do you see these sections?" Dr. Kim pointed. "Humans have many more jumping genes than any other species." "Jumping genes?" asked Captain Kang, who had been watching from the doorway. "Transposable elements," Dr. Kim explained. "Parts of DNA that can move around. Most species see them as mistakes and get rid of them. But humans kept them. Dr. Han leaned closer to the screen. And this helps how. These jumping genes let DNA sections move and combine in new ways. Dr. Kim said, "It's like having building blocks that can rearrange themselves. That's why humans can adapt so quickly." Lee Min-ho joined them, carrying his translator. The aliens call these elements chaos sequences. They think they're dangerous. But they're not dangerous, Dr. Kim said. They're helpful. They let us change without dying. For the next week, the team worked on a new idea. If the Moran could be given some of these jumping genes, maybe they could adapt to the radiation on their world. Dr. Han presented their plan to Voss and the other alien scientists. "It's not about changing their whole DNA," she explained. "It's about giving them the tools to adapt themselves." Some alien scientists seemed worried, but others were interested. Voss gave permission to try the therapy on Moran cell samples. 2 weeks later, they had their answer. The modified Moran cells could survive radiation levels that would kill normal Moran cells. "It works," Dr. Kim shouted when the results came in. "The cells are adapting." News of their success spread quickly through the Nexus. Scientists from other teams came to see their work. Even Ambassador Telex returned to witness the breakthrough. "This is remarkable," Telex said. "If this works for actual Moran people, it could save their entire species." Dr. Han felt proud. Humans were helping other species in a way no one else could. But not everyone was happy. Captain Kang noticed some aliens avoided the human team after their success. He heard whispers in the hallways. "They're afraid of us now," he told Dr. Han one evening. "Why would they be afraid?" she asked. "We're helping them." "That's exactly why," Captain Kang said. "We can do something they can't. That makes some of them nervous." Lee Min-ho had noticed the same thing. His translator had picked up conversations not meant for human ears. "Some aliens are calling this genetic pollution," he reported. "They think mixing human DNA elements with other species is wrong." Dr. Kim shook his head. "But we're not changing who they are. We're just giving them the ability to adapt." "Not everyone sees it that way," Captain Kang said. "Be careful. Watch what you say around others." That night, Dr. Han couldn't sleep again. Their work could save countless lives across the galaxy. But it was also changing how aliens viewed humans. Were they heroes or threats? Partners or dangers? As she finally drifted off to sleep, she didn't notice the small light blinking on her computer. Someone was copying her research files without permission. In his private laboratory, Voss reviewed the stolen data with great interest. What the humans had discovered was even more valuable than he had hoped. Now he needed to decide what to do with this information, and with the humans who had provided it. Captain Kang couldn't explain his feeling of unease. The success with the Moran cells should have made everyone happy. Instead, he noticed more aliens watching the humans with strange looks. "We need to be more careful," he told his security team during their daily meeting. "Something isn't right here." That afternoon, Captain Kang decided to check the station's communication system. He asked Lee Min-ho to help him understand any alien messages they might find. "Is this allowed?" Lee asked as they entered the communication center. "Probably not," Captain Kang admitted. "But I need to know if we're in danger." They found a quiet corner with a computer terminal. Captain Kang used the access codes he had memorized during his security briefing when they first arrived. "Look at this," he said after a few minutes. "There are encrypted messages being sent to a group called the Purists." Lee connected his translator to the terminal. "I can try to decode them, but it will take time." For the next 3 days, Lee worked in secret to break the code. Finally, he called Captain Kang and Dr. Han to his room. "The Purists are aliens who believe in keeping species separate," Lee explained. "They think mixing genes between species is wrong. They want to use human genetics but keep humans isolated." Dr. Han frowned. "So they want our genetic abilities but not us." "Exactly," Lee said. "According to these messages, they plan to study humans, extract what makes us adaptable, and then use it for only certain chosen species. Who's sending these messages? Captain Kang asked. Lee looked uncomfortable. That's the worst part. Many of them come from Voss's private lab. Dr. Han sat down hard in her chair. Voss, but he's been supporting our work. He supports the results, Captain Kang said grimly. Not necessarily us. Meanwhile, back on Earth, similar concerns were growing. The UN Security Council held an emergency meeting about the Confederation Alliance. We've received reports that human genetic material is being used without proper oversight, said the Korean representative. Some sources suggest our scientists are being used rather than partnered with. The debate grew heated. Some nations wanted to pull the human team back to Earth. Others argued that the scientific benefits were worth the risk. On the Nexus, Dr. Kim was working late when he noticed something strange about his latest test results. The Marin samples had been tampered with. He quickly checked his other experiments. Many had been slightly changed. The changes were clever, meant to make the human therapy look less effective than it really was. Dr. Kim rushed to find Dr. Han and the others. They gathered in Dr. Han's room, speaking in whispers. Someone is sabotaging our work, Dr. Kim explained. They're making small changes to make our results look worse. The purists, Captain Kang said. They don't want our therapy to succeed. But why? Asked Dr. Han. Don't they want to help the Moran? Lee, who had been listening to alien conversations for weeks now, had a theory. Voss's species was once the most advanced in the Confederation, he explained. They've been in charge for millions of years. If other species can adapt like humans, that power might shift. So it's about control, Dr. Han said. Understanding now. They want to decide who gets to adapt and who doesn't. Captain Kang stood up. We need evidence to take to Ambassador Telex. Lee and I will try to find more communications. Dr. Han and Dr. Kim, check all your research for tampering. As they left Dr. Han's room, none of them noticed the small camera hidden in the corner. In his private lab, Voss watched their meeting with narrowed eyes. They know too much now, he said to his assistant. We must move to the next phase of the plan immediately. The assistant nodded. What about the humans? Voss's 4 arms made a gesture of dismissal. They have served their purpose. Prepare to isolate them. We have what we need. Dr. Han woke to a loud alarm. Red lights flashed in her room. She jumped out of bed and grabbed her communicator. What's happening? She asked when Captain Kang answered. There's been an explosion in the main lab, he said. Meet me there now. When Dr. Han arrived at the lab, she couldn't believe her eyes. The place was destroyed. Machines were broken. Data screens were shattered. Worst of all, their research samples were gone. Dr. Kim was already there, looking at the damage with a pale face. It's all gone, he said. Months of work, destroyed. Security officers from various alien species moved around the lab, taking pictures and scanning for evidence. Voss entered the room, all 4 arms moving in what seemed like distress. This is terrible, he said. Who would do such a thing? A tall, insect-like security chief approached Dr. Han. We found something interesting, he said. His voice clicked through the translator. The last person to access this lab used your ID code, Dr. Han. What? Dr. Han felt cold. That's impossible. I was asleep in my room. The evidence is clear, the security chief said. You entered at 200 hours and activated the emergency ventilation system, which caused the explosion. Captain Kang stepped forward. This is obviously a setup. Dr. Han would never destroy her own work. We must follow protocol, the security chief said. Dr. Han, you will be confined to your quarters until the investigation is complete. 2 security officers moved to take Dr. Han's arms. Captain Kang's hand moved to his weapon. Stand down, Captain, Dr. Han said quickly. Let's not make this worse. As the security officers led Dr. Han away, she whispered to Captain Kang, find the truth. Back in her room, now locked from the outside, Dr. Han paced back and forth. Why would anyone frame her? Then she realized. The explosion happened right after they discovered the conspiracy. Someone wanted to stop their work and discredit them at the same time. Meanwhile, Captain Kang gathered Lee and Dr. Kim in a service corridor where there were no cameras. Han is being framed, he said. We need to prove it and find out who's really behind this. It must be Voss, Dr. Kim said. He's the one working with the purists. We need evidence, Captain Kang replied. Lee, can you access the security system? We need to see who really went to the lab last night. Lee nodded. I'll try, but their systems are complicated. I'll check what's left of our research, Dr. Kim added. Maybe not everything is lost. As they separated, none of them noticed the small drone following them from a distance. In her locked room, Dr. Han refused to give up. She examined every inch of her quarters, looking for anything useful. Under her bed, she found a small vent. It was just big enough for her to crawl through. They think they can keep a human contained, she muttered. They don't understand how adaptable we really are. She removed the vent cover and peered into the dark tunnel. It would be a tight fit, but she could make it. Before entering, she left a note on her bed. Gone to find the truth. As Dr. Han crawled through the ventilation system, she thought about what she had learned about humans and their place in the galaxy. Humans weren't just good at adapting their bodies, they were good at adapting to situations. When faced with problems, humans found solutions. Now she needed to find a way to prove her innocence and expose the real saboteurs. She had a feeling that the answer lay in Voss's private lab, the one place on the Nexus they had never been allowed to enter. Time to see what you're really up to, Voss, she whispered as she made her way through the dark, narrow passages of the giant space station. Dr. Han crawled through the dark vents for what seemed like hours. The Nexus was huge, and finding Voss's private lab wasn't easy. Finally, she saw light coming through a vent below her. Looking down, she saw Voss working alone in a lab. She stayed very quiet and watched. Voss was examining samples that looked just like the ones destroyed in the explosion. He had stolen their research before destroying it. As she watched, Dr. Han had a sudden realization. She remembered something from Earth's history that might be the key to everything. Meanwhile, Captain Kang and Lee had managed to access the security recordings. They were hidden in a small maintenance room, looking at a screen. Look there, Lee pointed. That's not Dr. Han entering the lab. The person is too tall. Captain Kang looked closer. It's someone wearing a mask to look like her. Can you enhance the image? Lee worked the controls. The image became clearer. It's one of Voss's assistants. We have proof. At the same time, Dr. Kim had been searching through backup files. Most of their research was destroyed, but he found one old file that had been overlooked. It contained their original notes about human genetic adaptation. As he read through it again, something clicked in his mind. We've been thinking too small, he whispered to himself. Back in Voss's lab, Dr. Han continued watching from the vent. She saw Voss mixing human DNA samples with other species' DNA, but he was doing it wrong. He was trying to force the changes instead of letting natural adaptation happen. That won't work, she whispered to herself. That's not how humans succeeded. Dr. Han thought about Earth's history. Humans hadn't just evolved on their own. They had helped thousands of other species evolve too, through selective breeding. For thousands of years, humans had guided the evolution of plants and animals to be more useful. Dogs, cats, corn, wheat, roses, all had been changed by human guidance. Humans weren't just good at adapting themselves. They excelled at helping other species adapt. This was humanity's true gift to the galaxy, not just their own genetic adaptability, but their skill at helping other life forms adapt too. Dr. Han needed to tell her team. She carefully backed away from the vent and continued through the tunnels, now looking for a way to reach her friends. Captain Kang and Lee were preparing to take their evidence to Ambassador Telex when they heard a noise from the ceiling. A vent cover opened and Dr. Han dropped down. Han, Captain Kang said in surprise. How did you escape? No time to explain, she said quickly. I found Voss with our research samples. He stole them before the explosion. But I also realized something important. She explained her insight about humans guiding evolution for other species. That's brilliant, Lee said. Instead of just using our DNA, we could teach them how to guide their own evolutionary paths. Dr. Kim joined them a few minutes later, excited to share his own realization, which turned out to be the same as Dr. Han's. Great minds think alike. Dr. Han smiled. Now we need to find a way to share this with the other species without Voss stopping us. I have an idea, Captain Kang said. The Nexus has a station-wide emergency broadcast system. If we can access it, we can tell everyone at once. And I have evidence of who really caused the explosion. Lee added, holding up a data device. Dr. Han nodded. Let's do it. It's time to show the galaxy what humans are really good at, not just changing ourselves, but helping others change too. As they made their plan, Dr. Han felt a new sense of purpose. Humans weren't just genetic oddities to be studied. They were partners who could help guide the galaxy into a new age of adaptation. Voss and the purists want to control evolution, she said, but we can show them a better way. The human team moved quickly through the service corridors of the Nexus. They had to reach the main communications center before Voss realized Dr. Han had escaped. The broadcast room is on level 4, Captain Kang said, checking a map on his device. But it will be guarded. I can create a distraction, Dr. Kim offered. I'll set off a small alarm in the science wing. Good idea, Dr. Han agreed. Lee, you'll need to hack into the system once we get there. They split up. Dr. Kim headed toward the science wing, while the others continued toward the broadcast room. As they neared their target, they heard a familiar voice behind them. I'm disappointed in you, Dr. Han. They turned to see Voss standing there with 4 security guards. Did you think your primitive human escape would go unnoticed? Voss asked. The entire station is looking for you. Captain Kang stepped in front of Dr. Han. We know what you did. You framed Dr. Han and stole our research. Prove it, Voss said calmly. No one will believe you over me. I've been chief researcher here for 50 years. Just then, alarms began blaring from the science wing. Dr. Kim's distraction was working. The security guards looked nervous. You should check that, Voss told them. I can handle these humans. As the guards hurried away, Lee whispered to Captain Kang. I need 2 minutes at the control panel. Captain Kang nodded slightly. He needed to keep Voss talking. Why did you do it? He asked Voss. Why sabotage work that could save species like the Moran? Voss's small eyes narrowed. Because not all species deserve to be saved. For millions of years, my people have decided which species advance and which do not. Humans threaten that order. While Voss was focused on Captain Kang, Lee slowly moved toward the nearby control panel. Your approach is wrong, Dr. Han said, keeping Voss's attention. You're trying to force evolution. That's not how it works. And you think you know better? Voss laughed. Your species is barely out of the Stone Age. Yet we've guided the evolution of thousands of Earth species, Dr. Han replied. From wolves to dogs, from wild grasses to wheat. We don't force change. We guide it. Voss seemed genuinely surprised. You have done this. For over 10,000 years, Dr. Han said, humans have specialized in helping other species adapt to new purposes. We call it selective breeding. While they talked, Lee reached the panel and began typing quickly. It doesn't matter, Voss said, noticing Lee too late. No one will listen to you. You're just primitive humans. Actually, came a new voice. I think everyone should hear this. They turned to see Ambassador Telex entering the corridor with several other aliens. Ambassador, Voss said, clearly shocked. These humans escaped confinement. They're dangerous. Are they? Telex asked. Or are they exactly what the Confederation needs? I've been monitoring this situation for some time, boss. I know what you've done. Telex turned to Dr. Han. Please, continue with your broadcast. The Confederation Council is waiting to hear what you have to say. Lee finished his work at the panel. We're connected to the main system. Everyone on the Nexus can hear us now. Dr. Han took a deep breath and stepped forward. This was humanity's moment. People of the Galactic Confederation. She began. My name is Dr. Han Ju of Earth. What I'm about to tell you will change how you think about evolution forever. She explained how humans had guided the evolution of Earth species for thousands of years, how they didn't just adapt themselves, but helped countless other species adapt too. We don't want to change who you are, she said. We want to share our knowledge of how to guide adaptation naturally, not through force, but through understanding. As she spoke, screens throughout the Nexus showed images Lee had prepared, before and after pictures of Earth species changed through human guidance. Dogs from wolves, modern corn from ancient grass, roses from simple wildflowers. This is humanity's true gift, Dr. Han concluded. Not our unstable genes, but our experience in helping life adapt and thrive. When she finished, there was silence. Then, from somewhere in the station, applause began. It spread until the sound echoed through the corridors. Voss looked around in disbelief. His plan was falling apart. 1 year had passed since the events on the evolutionary Nexus. Dr. Han stood at the window of her new office, looking out at the stars. So much had changed. After Dr. Han's broadcast, the Confederation Council had held an emergency meeting. They reviewed all the evidence against Voss and the purists. The council was shocked to learn how Voss had tried to control which species would adapt and which would not. Ambassador Telex had spoken strongly in favor of humans. They have shown us a new path forward, he had told the council. Not through forcing change, but by guiding it with wisdom. Voss and his supporters were removed from their positions. The purist movement lost most of its power. The council voted to welcome Earth as a full member of the Confederation, with all rights and protections. Now, the evolutionary Nexus had been transformed. Instead of a place where species were studied like specimens, it had become a center for cooperation. Dr. Han led the new Department of Evolutionary Pathways, where scientists from all species worked together. A knock at her door brought Dr. Han back to the present. Come in, she called. Dr. Kim entered, smiling. The Maran therapy is officially a success, he reported. The first treated children are now 6 months old and perfectly healthy. They can live on their homeworld without fear of radiation. That's wonderful news, Dr. Han said. How are the other projects going? Very well. We're helping 23 species now, using the selective breeding techniques we developed. It's slower than direct genetic modification, but the results are more stable. Lee Minho entered next, carrying his translator, which he rarely needed anymore. He had learned to speak 6 alien languages in the past year. The new communication systems are working perfectly, he said. All member worlds can now share their evolutionary research in real time. Captain Kang, now Commander Kang, was the last to arrive. He led the Joint Human Confederation Security Force that protected the Nexus. The last purist cells have been disbanded, he reported. Most of them have actually joined our research teams. They've seen that our way works better. Dr. Han smiled at her friends. We've come so far in just 1 year. And to think, Dr. Kim said, all of this started because you noticed human cells adapting to cold in your lab on Earth. It wasn't just my discovery, Dr. Han replied. It was all of humanity's history that made this possible. For thousands of years, humans have been changing life around them. Now we're doing it for the galaxy. That evening, the human team gathered with alien friends to celebrate the first anniversary of the new Nexus. Ambassador Telex made a speech. 1 year ago, we learned something important, he said. The trait we thought was humanity's weakness, their genetic instability, was actually their greatest strength. But even more valuable is their experience in guiding evolution. He raised a glass. to our human friends, the galaxy's favorite mutation machines. Everyone laughed and cheered. Later, Dr. Han received a special message from Earth. The United Nations had voted to establish 10 new schools across the planet to train more human scientists in genetic guidance. Thousands of young people had applied to study there. "We thought we were alone in the universe," Dr. Han said to Commander Kang as they watched the stars together. "Now we know our place in it." "And what place is that?" he asked. "Helpers," she replied simply. "We're not the strongest or smartest species, but we understand change better than anyone. In a galaxy where many species can't adapt, we're the ones who can show them how." 3 months later, Dr. Han visited the Moran homeworld. She stood under their once deadly sun, watching Moran children play without protective suits. Their bodies now adapted to the radiation naturally, thanks to the therapy humans had helped develop. A Moran elder approached her. "My grandchildren will live because of your people," he said. "How can we ever thank you?" Dr. Han smiled. "By doing for others what we did for you. That's how the galaxy gets better, one adaptation at a time." As she looked up at the unfamiliar stars of the Moran sky, Dr. Han felt pride in being human. Their chaotic, unstable genes had turned out to be exactly what the galaxy needed. Humans weren't just good at changing. They were good at helping change happen. And in a universe that never stopped changing, that was the greatest gift of all.